Welcome to Christian Fellowship's weekly sermon podcast.
This past Thursday was World Refugee Day, and since we have some significance with that in terms of our church family, with those who are refugees, who are with us, who are our members among us, who worship with us this morning, who gather in our Sunday afternoon third service, a multilingual multinational gathering that takes place every Sunday around 4 o'clock. We have two wonderful pastors, Pastor Nene and Pastor Jean-Claude, who give shepherding oversight to that group. And I was struck last week, as you came in this morning, you noticed the rain as it was coming down. And last week, Pastor Jean-Claude, he came up and he prayed over the offering. And while he was standing up here, you wouldn't have noticed it, but he was soaking wet. Because prior to coming up and praying for the offering, he had grabbed an umbrella and was going out to people's cars and just walking them from the cars into the building so that they wouldn't get wet. So he'd carry the umbrella out, stick the umbrella over them, and allowed himself to get soaked so that they'd come in the building and be dry. And then he came up here and he prayed over the offering. And I just think, what wonderful servants' hearts they have. What wonderful humility they have. And we as a congregation are so blessed to have these two men in our midst and our third congregation, our members from that group, to be a part of us here. So I want to lead with some scriptures this morning as we do this interview with Pastor Nene, and Caritas is going to come along and help with some of the translation. In Exodus chapter 23, under the heading, in my Bible, the heading is Justice for All. It says, "Also, you shall not oppress a stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt." And in Leviticus 19 it says, "But the stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." And in Deuteronomy it says, "For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality nor takes a bribe. He administers justice for the fatherless and the widow and loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore, love the stranger, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt." I think some ways, as you might wrestle with what social justice looks like, as you might wrestle with immigration issues and refugee issues, all those political maneuverings that take place in our day that are very real, very significant to us, the word of the Lord speaks, I think, very powerfully to each one of us, that we are to treat those who are from outside as one of us, who are born among us, though they were not, as our brothers, to love them as we love one another. And that's God's heart out of the Old Testament. And so you know that out of that Old Testament, that's his heart into the New. And so we're going to take some time and hear Pastor Nene's story. So I'd like to invite Pastor Nene and Caritas to come out, please. Let's welcome them as they come. So, Pastor Nene, you've been a part of Christian Fellowship for how many years now?
Almost 3 years.
About 3 years, all right. And Caritas, you've been a part of Christian Fellowship for about how long, do you think?
About 8 years.
About 8 years. Okay, so you came along a little bit sooner than that. And we want to just kind of explore the story, Pastor Nene's story in particular. He'll speak some things in English as he's comfortable, but then as he switches, Caritas will translate for him. My understanding is there's over 1,300 refugees in the Columbia area. Probably that number's grown since I did those numbers. And they're from different parts of Africa, different countries, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Also from Burma, Myanmar, China, and probably some other locations. So we have a number of refugees who have come and settled here in Colombia specifically. And your home, Nene, is where? Your original home in Africa?
It's Congo.
Is Congo, okay. And Congo was formerly known as This is a
Zaire.
quiz. He knows the answers to all these. I'm just pitching him softballs so he can give me answers. And Zaire was a colony of
Belgium.
Belgium, yeah. And so independence came, I think it was in 1960.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And from that, or probably not strictly out of that, there's been a conflict in that area for quite a while. Yeah. How long would you say? For as long as you can remember, in terms of the conflict?
Tarafuk, if I born.
He was before he was born.
Before you were born.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're going since I understand that we're all a bit geographically challenged, we're going to take a look at a map of Africa. Just be mindful. I know we know this, but sometimes we treat Africa like it's a country. It's a continent, and there's lots of countries in Africa, and so it helps to identify the country that a person is from, and not just the continent that they're from. And so let's show one of those slides up there, please. All right, so that's the continent of Africa. All those different colors are the different countries within that continent. And let's go to the next slide here. And the highlights there are the locations that Nene is familiar with. This is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, right?
Yeah.
So that's your home area. And with this point to where your village was roughly kind
Is
of
it up like
up there in the north part?
Yeah.
Okay. And then next to Democratic Republic, just to the east of that is
here is Rwanda, Burundi,
Rwanda and Burundi,
Tanzania, Kenya here, I guess.
Tanzania, Uganda in between.
Yeah, here.
Uh-huh.
This is Tanzania.
Tanzania.
I guess it's Kenya.
And that's Kenya there.
Yeah.
So those are the countries that you're connected to. You're Caritas, you're from what?
I'm from Rwanda.
You're from Rwanda.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're both from different countries over there. How many different ethnic groups are in, let's say, your country?
Like 470, 470 languages too. As you move through the villages, you change their language.
That's fascinating.
It is.
And how many languages do you know?
With English, 11
11
languages.
And one of those is English, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
English.
so we're adding English. Caritas, how many do you?
I speak 7.
You speak 7.
Yes.
Okay. I speak 1.
It's okay.
Never really been challenged beyond that, sorry to say, but that's where we are. How many Congolese had to flee? Is there a number of people that have been displaced from the Congo?
It's a lot of people. We don't know.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Yeah. And from Rwanda, how many people have been displaced from Rwanda?
From Rwanda, we lost 1 million people in 100 days. And a lot of people went to through Congo. People went to Congo, but we lost 1 million people in 100 days in Rwanda. So I don't know how many went outside, but most came back in Rwanda again.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, people from the Congo fled, and they fled into other countries. People from Rwanda fled, and they fled into like from Rwanda to Congo, right?
After the genocide, I know you know that the military and the militias went to Congo. You can see the line going to Congo. They were running into Congo with the munitions. And that's where really the conflict started, because they went with all of that and they start killing in Congo too. So, and it was the rebellions. So people were dying, and now people in Congo are refugees in Rwanda.
People in Congo are refugees in Rwanda. People
because
in
Rwanda
Rwanda
is
were refugees in Congo.
Yes.
Yeah. And you eventually went from Congo to where? Mark?
Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya.
And then Kenya. So that's where you went. All right. How old are you now?
46.
46. And how long have you been in the United States?
11 years.
11 years. All right. Well, so when you're in the Congo, where you lived, what did you do for a living? What was
nari umuvugabutumwa kandi yigisha n'abana kuri primaire.
He was a pastor and also he was a teacher in an elementary school.
All right. Pastor and a teacher in your village. And so we have some pictures of where Nene lived. If we could show some of those slides, we'll just take a look at the countryside. It's beautiful countryside, mountainous, hilly. You want to describe that a little bit?
Here at the top is my home here. Here is my school. Here, this is Catholic church. This is my school. I was go to primary school. Even my daughter, Aline, she was here, this school.
So you went there and your daughter went there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Go back a little bit. Go back to the first one, please. The very first. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add in
I
there?
was living, maybe
Yeah, so you lived at the top of the hill, then
Yes.
you walked down
down
the hillside to school. How long did it take to do that?
Maybe 5 to 4 minutes. It's only to go down like that.
You just-
It's easy.
You just go down.
Yeah, walk.
How long does it take to get up?
To grab is very hard. Maybe 10 minutes.
Maybe 10
Yeah,
minutes. Oh,
but
okay.
to go down, it's easy.
All right. Show the next slide. All right.
That was our big church. So it has branches around. Those are the houses you see around.
ariko iyi foto ni iya mbere y'intambara.
This was before the war.
Baraza kubereka iyindi hamaze gusha.
So I will show you another one after they burned this
Ahangaha
place.
niho segonderi banigiye.
That's where
segonderi.
my high school was.
Hariya.
And the white roof is in the middle. That's what?
This is church.
That's a church there.
Yes.
And that's a church over there. Are those both churches?
This one is
Yeah.
the house. This
That's a
is
house.
church.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
then
the thatched buildings,
This
those-
one?
are those houses?
this is a house.
These are all houses
Yes.
there. All right.
This
So
is
your village is up on the ridge of that hillside.
Yeah.
Okay. And see the path? Can you guys see the path kind of to the left where there's worn
Okay.
area? Yeah, see that where it runs all through there? That's kind of how you navigate because it's a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful. Yeah. Could we see another slide?
Ahangaha nuriya muhano utambutse umaze gusha rero. Tubona rya
This is
church.
the same place after they burned the place
Yeah.
After
because
they
of the
attacked
war.
and-
Iyi ni yazu barako babona hano nazo zindi zarahiye.
All those
In the
houses
church.
around were burned.
Aha niho kuri segonderi nigiye
And
hano.
that's my high school again.
Okay. And then when you had to flee, is this well, let's keep going. We'll see if we can see that one shot. Okay, there's the hillside
Aba ni
again.
abaneba biwacu nabo handi. Abaneba bacu.
Those are our neighbors.
Oh, neighbors. Okay. All right, next.
Aba ni abasaza.
Those are the elders. They sit there.
Ufite ikibazo baragenda bakagikemura.
If you have a problem, you will go there and they will mediate between
Bakamenya
you.
ufite ikibazo bakamuhana.
And whoever has a problem will be punished.
That's just like our elders meetings here that we have as part of our. We just sit around on the outside there and just like
Yeah.
punish you as you come or whatever, and correct, give correction.
Yeah, directions.
That's I love that. I love that shot. And this one here.
Iyi ni inzu nuko bazatangira.
That's how they start to make those round houses.
Iyi ngiyi. Kandi naje ndabizi ubikeneye no yimubakira.
And if you want the house, he can build it.
Yeah.
He knows how to build the house.
You can build one of those houses and put the roof on.
Yes.
Yeah,
Put
the
the
house
roof.
is built, they put
Yeah.
the roof on top. Yeah.
There you go. Anybody? Just there's your man. He will show you how. Okay. Do we have any other slides?
Aha ni iwacu hari iwacu.
This is my home.
Iri niyo church y'iwacu.
That's my church.
Inzu yanje ya mbere yabaga hano.
My first house was there.
Irasha.
It burned.
Ubwo nari ifite umwana umwe.
There I had one child.
Nari ifite
That
nyina
time.
w'umwami.
I had just Aline,
Irasha mu ijoro.
and the house burned in the night.
Nari ndwaye.
He was sick that time.
Ambwira madamu ngo nareke njewe nsohoke banice.
And I was like, let me go out so they can kill me. Maybe they will burn you inside the house. That's what he told Francine, his wife.
Ndasohoka.
And he got out.
Imana irakomeye.
But God is
Ariko nta
a
muntu
good God.
nahasanze.
But nobody was outside.
Ubwo ngubwo umwotsi winjira mu nzu.
And it was smoky that time.
Ninjizemo inkoni nari mfite mu muryango.
is it?
inkoni nari mfite
And I have just this big stick.
nishyira mu muryango ndamubwira ngo sohoka n'abana nta muntu
And I said, get out, Francine, with the kids. There's nobody
arasohoka
here.
afashe nyina w'umwami
And she got out with my daughter in her arms.
naho iyo nzu yari iba ariko naje kwimukira mu yindi yabaga hano
But that house was there.
iyo ya mbere yabaga hano
The first house was there.
nja kuja aha ngaha
And then I moved to the other side.
aha hose ndahazi
So I know all this place
iyi
very
misozi
well.
yose iki ni
I
ikibira
know this
kiriya
mountain very good.
iki ni ikibira
That is just a field, an empty field. It's like a jungle.
iriya iyi yose ni ikibira kandi kirazunguruka gutya ahantu hose
It's a park. It's a natural park around the village.
So your village was attacked in the middle of the night, and you had to flee, and you fled into the jungle eventually.
yes
Yeah, and when you say you fled into the jungle, there's a whole different set of danger in that setting. What's the danger of fleeing into the jungle?
aha ngaha muri iki kibira
In the jungle,
habamwe impyisi
there's a lot of animals and very fierce
kandi
animals.
kuko bazaga bavuga ati baratwica bajane abagore bacu
And they were saying that they will kill us so they can take our wives.
kibuka kuko ntaravuka njewe
And I remember before I was born,
barateye bajana mama
they attacked and took my mother.
yari afite abana batatu
She had 3 children then,
abahungu babiri n'umukobwa
2 sons and 1 daughter.
baramujana yageze imyaka itatu
She went there and spent 3 years
jewe nari
with them.
ntaravuka
And it was before I was born.
imyaka itatu ishize abasirikare batera harya hantu
After 3 years, the soldiers went and attacked that place where they took my mom.
bazana mama
And my mom came back
n'umwana umwe
with 1 child.
umuhungu n'umukobwa barapfa
The girl and 1 boy died.
ubwo hariya bavugaga kuko kandi bazatwica bakajana abamama bacu
And also the same history was repeating. They were saying that they will kill us
Bateye nje
and take
nahunze
our
kwanje.
wives. So when they came, I ran apart.
kandi aba bose muhamubona bari hano
As you see, all these refugees
ari abarundi
here,
ari abanyarwanda
Burundi or Rwanda,
bose ibyambayeho byababayeho
whatever
bose
happened to me happened to them too.
kuko n'amoko yasubiranye
Because it was killing without any meaning.
So everybody who is here has some story.
Some story
like
behind
that.
it. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your story a bit. There were about 80 people in your village
Yes.
that lived on that hillside there, and they came and attacked you in the middle of the night. So tell us about that story.
baje mu
Here,
ijoro nk'uko nari bivuze
I'll take your pointer so we don't.
baje mu ijoro nk'uko babivuze
They came at night, like we were saying,
baratera
and they attacked the
bazaga bavuza
village.
ingoma n'amapendo n'ibindi
They will come playing the drum and singing.
baratwataka hari mu ijoro
So they attacked the village.
nari kumwe n'abana
I was with my children,
na madame
my wife,
njewe nita hanze
and then I went out
kuko bari bavuze ngo
outside the
bajana abagabo
house
barafata abagabo
because they were trying to keep us
njewe
men.
nirukanga ngenda urwanje ruhande
So I have to run.
nari nzi kuko bapfuye
But I thought they would kill my family because I didn't know anything about
Kugeza
them
mpunze.
again. Until I came,
ngenda ukwanje
I left by
nabo
myself,
bagenda ukwabo
and they left by themselves.
nyuma yaho umuhana wari kusha mpaye nkubona nahunze
And wherever I was, I could see the village burning.
namavuga ngo abantu bapfuye
And I just believed my family
nibwo
was dead.
nahunze mu Rwanda
So I
Uganda
went to
Kenya
Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya then.
ariko nari nzi kuko bapfuye
But I didn't know about my family. I thought they were dead.
ukwiye gusa gusenga niko kwampumuriza
I was just praying. That's what helped my heart.
So your village is attacked in the middle of the night. You hear things going on. Everybody wakes up, and then you just run. Everyone's just running. Children and mothers and fathers just fleeing whichever way because it's chaos, right?
yes
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for everyone to get separated.
it
Children
is.
from one another and from their parents and fathers and mothers.
Yes,
You're just
totally.
running for your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
kuko
happened.
nabibabwiye twabonye umwana umwe Claude
As I was saying, as we were running,
muraza kubona ipica yiwe hariya
they will tell you
ubwo
about
yarahunze agenda ukwiwe
the kids' clothes that I have
madamu
now.
yarahunze agenda ukwe
My
n'abana
wife ran by herself,
asanga undi mwana bataye
and she found another kid on the way
Kandi
that
abenshi ntibari
the
babizi.
parent lost.
abenshi ntibari babizi barabimenya kuko mpaye mbivuga
Because a lot of people don't know about it, but we have one son.
amubonye
that we
atazi ko
found.
napfuye nawe
My wife thought I was dead,
abona wa mwana
but took the kids
aramufata aramuzana
and walked with her,
N'ubu turi
that
kumwe nawe.
child. And today we have
intambara iyo ibaye umwe
this child
azagenda
with
ukwihunda
us.
ugende kwiwe
So that's how the war is. You run apart.
kandi ibyo byose byambayeho niko mbaye mbabwira n'abandi hano niko byababayeho
Whatever happened to me, that's what happened to others.
hari bamwe dusengana hano
There's people that I pray with here.
batazi iwabo
They don't even know where they came from.
base nibo bahunze bahungira muri Kongo
The parents went to Congo,
intambara ibasanga muri Kongo
and the war came to Congo
barabica mu
again.
bandi bariko bapfa
They killed those people,
barahunga baje Tanzania
and then they went to Tanzania,
baza hano
and then they came here.
abo bose bamwe ntibazi iwabo
Some people don't know their home
Umwe
and their
agenda ukwe,
men
undi agenda ukwiwe.
because of the way you
Niko abandi
get
bagenda
apart,
bapfa.
and wherever you are, that's your family, that's your place.
How old were you when this took place?
none nari mfite 20 irenga 20 saga
I was around 20 years or more.
imyaka muzoreba abarefugee bose tugira umwa rimwe
They don't
That's
ask
it.
us about the birthday because all refugees were born January 1st.
kubera kuko tuba twarahuye n'ibibazo byinshi
We have a lot of problems. We forget even
bakubaza
our
imyaka
birthdays.
ukayiyoberwa
You don't even
Bagashiraho
know.
111.
You don't even know your age. They put 111.
tubigaho utekereza ko ari uza kubaza imyaka
So nobody think about the age, or whoever will ask you about your
ariko ubwo nari
age.
mfite 20 irenga
But I was about 20 and more.
So we didn't have a birthday party on January 1st.
We need to,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did. That would be fun. So your wife Francine, you're married at that time when the village was attacked. You had 3 little children at that time. How old were they?
Francine twashakanye imbere y'intambara
So I married my wife before the war.
kandi twaje kubyara nawe umwana wa mbere tumaze imyaka 5
After 5 years, we had the first child.
umutoyi igihe dutandukanye nabo
When I left, when we got apart
muri iyo ntambara
during the war,
urya mutoya Fred yari afite amezi 7
Freddie was 7 months.
Bishop.
Now he just finished high school. That time he was
Hannah.
7 months.
ariko ico gihe yari afite amezi 7
7 months, yeah.
kwezi yari afite nienda nk'imyaka 2
Kwezi was
Cyangwa se umwaka
2
n'igice.
2 years.
nyina w'umwami niwe wari mukuru na yari afite 6 gutya
Aline was like 6.
kaho ngaho niho byari bimeze nawe ariko bose ntabo nari nzi
Ba-
maze kugera hano sinari mbazi
That's the time I left them. Those were the age.
Yeah. So you're fleeing and she's fleeing and she's getting hold of the children, 7 months, 2 years old, and 6 years old, and just
nuriya yatoye
running.
ubundi
So yeah, she
Just-
was by herself with
Yeah.
all those kids, and then she found another kid.
Along the way, tell us
Along the
about
way.
finding another kid along the way. What is that? What happened?
cyane madamu nabona igihe azabivuga
I think she had to say her
kuko
testimony
nje nari maze
herself.
kugera hano
I was here when I found out that they
niyo
still
n'undi mwaka
alive.
nawe azavuga
I would love her to talk.
undi mwaka
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
iwe twamaze gutandukana nibwo yasanze uwo mwana aho ngaho
So after I left them, she was running
ubwo ahaye ahunga
wherever she
kandi
was,
abantu benshi bari kubahunga
and a lot of people were running together.
ahasanga Claude
She found a kid.
yari azi no kuvuga yari muto kuri nyina
He
w'umwana
was a baby. He was a child. He couldn't even
n'ubu
speak
ntituzi
yet.
birthday yiwe tuza tuvuga ngo
We
ni
don't know
nyina
his
w'umwana.
birthday, but we say he's the same age as our daughter.
aramutora aramujana
And she took the child
aravuga ngo reka mujane
and stayed with her.
ariko nabonye kuko ari Imana yabikoze
But it was God that did this,
kuko yari izi nawe kuko hari undi uzamfatanje
because God knew that there was somebody that we adopt me to.
imigisha yose nabonye nzabona ko nayiboneye aho
All
hantu
the blessings that I have, I got it because of Claude. Amen. Amen.
All right. So not only does she have 3 little children as she's fleeing, she takes on another
It was
child
hard. Yeah.
and raises him along the way. We're gonna show a picture of Nene's family in just a moment. Now you fled there, and then you went to Kenya, and so you were a refugee in Kenya for how many years?
maybe 7 years
Maybe 7 years. And what did you do while you were in Kenya?
muri Kenya narigaga theology
When he was in Kenya, he was studying theology,
tugakora
Studying
akazi
theology.
and he was working too.
kuko muri Kongo nari narize imyaka 3 ya theology
So in Congo, I went to school for 3 years.
muri Kenya naho niga 3 n'igice
And in Kenya, I had to do 3 years and a
tugakora
half.
n'amaboko bakaturihira
We were working hard so they can pay for our school.
nigeze no kuhavuga rimwe
I was talking about this.
kuko nkunda abanyakenya
I
cyane
love Kenyan people.
umunsi umwe baravuze ngo nene atahe nta abasponsa be ntabahari
One day they said I have to stop studying because my sponsors are not paying.
babitangaza mu gitondo duha dusenga mu ikanisa ry'abanyeshuri
And they said that in the morning when we were together praying,
iby'ukuri sinasenze nabuze aho nja
that day I was lost. I couldn't even pray.
ndasohoka
I got out.
kandi wari umunsi wa gatatu abanyeshuri twese tuzajya kuvuga ubutumwa hanze mu mayira hose
It was the third day when we start going outside on the road teaching the gospel.
umunyakenya umwe araza arahansanga
And one Kenyan came out.
abanyakenya ntibaza banyita ngo nene baza banyita ngo munene
The Kenyan called me Monene. Monene is
arambwira
big.
ati munene tugusengere
Monene, we need to pray for you.
arasenga
And he started praying.
yavuze aya magambo
And he said,
uyu pastor nene
Pastor Nene
yari agiye kuja mu butumwa
was about to go and teach the
kugira ngo
gospel.
akure abantu mu byaha
He was going to teach people so they can come out of
none
the
baravuze
sin.
ngo nta mafaranga
And they say they don't have money to pay for his
none
school.
aratashe
Now he's going home.
ararangiza
And he was done.
undi munyakenya araza arahansanga
Another Kenyan came out again
arambwira ati tugende tuje hariya tuje
and
kunywa
said, let's go. I need to go buy you some.
yari umugabo ufite imodoka yiwe
He had his car
twariganaga
and we were in the same
ngira ngo
school.
none nje agiye kumpa tike yo kungezaho sinzi aho najaga nanje
I thought he was going to give me just a ticket
Kuko nari mfite
to go
igiceri.
somewhere. I didn't even have the
nari
destination.
mfite igiceri kimwe gusa
I had one corner.
arambwira ngo ese ndarya iki
And
Muri
he
restaurant.
asked me, what are you going to eat?
nanje ndeba bya bindi biri cheap bya gito
And I was trying to find the cheapest food.
ndavuga ngo kideri
He said kideri. Kideri is corn and
kandi yari azi ko
beans.
ntazanyirya nawe
And he knew I'd never ate that
aravuga
kind
ngo
of
ye
food.
nturya kideri
He
vuga
said,
ibyo kurya by'ijuru
say the good food you want to
mu
eat.
bitekerezo byanje hariho ishuri
My thinking was about my
bya bibazo
school.
byose by'intambara
And all this problem came back.
arangaburira
He gave me food.
ngo amara arambwira ngo ngaya amadolari yawe 500 usubire ku ishuri
And then he gave me $500 to go back to school.
igitangaza cyabaye
That was
Nanibagiwe
a
no-
miracle. That was a miracle.
principal
Yeah.
w'ishuri
So the principal of the school,
muhaye ayo mafaranga
when I gave him the money,
mu mugoroba ijambo yabwirije
what he taught people that night,
message yiwe yabwirije
his
abantu.
message was,
yaravuze ngo inyenyeri zaka nijoro
he said, the stars comes at night.
ku manywa ntiwuzibona
You cannot see the stars during the day.
naho natangiriye ubuhamya bwanjye
And that's where I start my testimony.
Yeah, that's good. So you had no plans to come to America.
ntayo nari mfite kabisa no
I never even dreamed about it.
So how did that unfold?
n'imana ari ibipanzeyo
It's the plan of God.
kuko habaye umushinga ngo ni mapendo
It was this organization called Mapendo, which is
baraza
love,
bakoresha abantu interview
and they came and asked us questions.
kugira ngo bagukoreshe interview uje hasere uje jiveya uje imbasa zari nk'icumi zirenga gutya
For you to do this interview and go through UN and GV and all these kind of places,
kandi kuza muri amerika biragoye
coming to America is not easy.
kandi sinari nzi ko hameze gutya
And I never knew how America
Nari nzi ngo
looks
ni-
like.
ngo nari nzi ngo ni nka heaven ntoya gutya
I thought it was a small heaven.
ariko mushike mbona abantu ko barapfa naho
But when I got here, people were dying too.
birancanganya hano
And I was confused.
badukoresha interview kugeza ngeze muri imbasi
So they asked us questions until we got to the embassy.
bariko baduheza urwandiko
And they would give us this paper,
rwari rwanditseho amagambo
and I had a lot of words.
ariko hano hejuru y'uko twari kudusoma n'icyongereza
So
twari tukizi
we didn't
Umuntu
know
wari kudusomera.
English, but we had to read.
umuntu umwe niwe wari kudusomera
There's somebody that we read,
akavuga gusa ngo approved
and then they would say approved.
ukamurubika ukama wirukanga
And then you take your paper and run.
nubwo bambwiye ngo uzoja muri amerika
And that's how I found out I would go to America.
kugeza umunsi bambwiye ngo uzogenda ejo
Until the day they said, tomorrow you are going to the airplane.
So you didn't know any English,
yes and,
but
and
they
then
put a piece of paper in front of you with English on it, and you spoke the English out loud.
twari dufite umuntu usoma
There was somebody that we read,
ariko kuko inzandiko zari nyinshi z'abantu benshi
because there was a lot of papers to read.
yari ko asoma umusitari wa mbere
He
gusa
will read
approved
just the first line, approved.
naho gusa
That was enough.
ukamugenda kuko hari hamwe bari kuvuga ngo deny bakabahakanira
Because it was approved or denied.
abo nibo twari dufite ikibazo tukabaterura tubabwira ngo nimwihangane
So we hugged them and say, just keep.
ariko nasomye urwanje ngo approved
But mine was
bambwira
approved,
numva kera ko nagiye muri
and I felt like God has answered me.
Now God gave that to you, and
Amen.
so you did that. Yeah. So what was it like coming to America?
kuza muri Amerika naraje
I came,
nahitiye Seruwi
and my first place was St. Louis,
ariko nanone mu mutima wanje nakumva ngo ese famille bahe
but I wasn't here
iyo umuntu
fully because my family was in
iyo
there.
umuntu mbwiye umwe kubapfuye ngahebura
I wished to hear they are dead or they are still alive.
Peter Seruwi
So I was in St. Louis,
byari bigoye nibwo bwa mbere najaga mu ndege
and it was my first time to get on the
uko
airplane.
yarahagurutse namangira ngo none turaguye turapfuye
And when he went up, I felt like we are dying right now.
sinabyumvaga
I couldn't understand,
ariko mbona ndashitse kuri Seruwi
but I landed on St. Louis,
numva merewe neza
and I felt good.
ariko namanshanganyikirwa kubera ibintu bitandukanye
I was so confused because of different things.
So you came to America, never really seen much of the country, knew no English when you arrived. You got some help from immigration?
yes
Yeah. And did they help you find a job?
yabamfashije kubona akazi
Yeah, the immigration helped to find a job.
kuko nashitse mu nzu ikintu nza nibuka ni umunsi wa Obama atambuka
I remember when I got in my house, it was the day they voted Obama.
kuko kese waka yavuye kuntora ku kibuga bari mu matora
The
bataratangaza
case worker came to the airport before they announced that Obama won.
ngo shike mu nzu gutya
When we got in the house,
baravuga ngo Obama abaye president
they said Obama is the president.
nari muzi gusa nari
I
nzi ko ari
didn't know
umwirabura
the president Obama, but they said he was a black man.
nshitse banshakira akazi
So when I got there, they found me a job.
impunzi ziba muri mirako
So I'm telling you, refugees, they went through a lot of
hano ntiwoja
miracles.
gusaba lone udafite akazi
You cannot go ask a loan without a job
udafite credit
or a good credit.
ariko umunsi bambwira ngo nzurire ejo
But when they say you are going to the airport
nasinyiye
today,
lone ndafite akazi
I had to sign the loan
y'indege nzaza
for the ticket of the airplane that will bring me
Banshakira
here.
akazi.
And then when I got here, they found me a job,
kandi kari kure
and the job was very far.
nafataga za tres ibiri
I had to get 2 trains
na basi zitatu
and 3 buses
kugira ngo ngere ku kazi
so I can get to my job.
ngateka
I will cook,
ngasha amaboko yari
and I will burn my arms. I burned my arms.
sinageza ngira amaboko gutya ku pepe y'umuntu
I
wapi
couldn't even do this
amaboko yari yarahiye.
because my arms didn't look
ariko
good.
ngakora cyane
But I worked very hard.
nakora muri Chevis restaurant
I was working in Chevis.
akazi kari kagoye ariko ndihangana
It was a hard job, but I had to do it.
I'm from St. Louis, so do you know what part of St. Louis you lived in?
ni Olive muri Olive gutya ahantu uvuye Seruzi
Olivet?
n'ahazina
Olive, yeah.
Yeah. And where did you work? Do you know where?
nari ntuye muri Grand
Grand?
Seruzi
Yeah.
North Grand?
ya ngafata ibasi kanjana kuri tre
And he would take he was on Grant Avenue, so he would take the bus to the train,
treni kanjana kandepoza handi
and the train would take me somewhere,
ngafata indi treni kanjana handi
and then another train,
kabana gufata amandi mabasi
And then
nisiga
I would take
indi ngeza ku kazi
2 buses, 3 buses again to get to my job.
hoba imvura hoba sino
Raining, snowing, I'll go.
n'ubu nza numva ko ngifite imbeho
And I still have that cold in my knees.
narakayuye kabisa
Have you gotten used to the snow yet? And the cold?
What do I mean in snow?
sino umunsi wa mbere yaje cyabaye igitangaza
The first day I saw the snow, that was
jewe
something.
nageze ngo ni kawunga bazanye
I thought it was the fufu ground because we eat
mu
fufu.
gitondo nja gukoraho
And then I went to touch.
numva ni ibindi bintu
It was something else.
nibwo nayibonye bwa mbere
That was the first time I
ariko
saw
byari
it.
biteye ubwoba
It was scary.
Yeah. There, it just reminded me. There's a good little movie. I think Reese Witherspoon is the main actor. Does anybody know the name of that movie? The Good Life.
Lie.
The Good Lie, about refugees who come and they settle in Kansas City area, and then Reese
Those are
Witherspoon
from Sudan.
is the social worker or whatever that works with them. Yeah, it's insightful if you want to see a movie that has all the interplay of someone coming, from somewhere else to this country and having to navigate all the issues. It's tremendous. What a challenge to come here and not have any English and have to figure your way out day by day.
biba bigoye utazi icyongereza
When you don't speak the language, it's
ariko
very
abubundi
hard.
mukubona biroroshe
But I don't know how these people are coming and learning very fast.
ariko imana iradufashije
It's just all about God.
abubu bo hariho abandi babafasha ubunyine
There's people that are aware that there's refugees and
ndi
they are
mukubona hano bari
helping
mukwira
them.
akazi tugatangaza hano mu ikanisa ngo mujane umuntu akamenya ngo aratora umuntu ku kazi
So we help each other. We take
tuzi
somebody
gutwara imodoka
to work and we get there easily because
Ni-
the other
ni-
refugees
ni
are
ibibazo biba biteye
helping.
ubwoba
So it was hard when you get somewhere
habe
and
no
nobody
guteka
is
muri
there.
oven ntabyo nari nzi
I didn't know how to cook in the oven.
twagaza duteka ku muriro
We cooked outside on the fire.
byose nibisha
Everything was new here,
byose byari bisha iwacu
very new.
kandi sinje njenyine n'abandi
And
bose
it's
bari-
not only me.
abantu bose byari bisha
For everybody, it was
bikaba
a
bisha
challenge.
wahuye n'ibyo bibazo byindi by'intambara
And we felt the war and the confusion,
ariko ikiza kibafasha bose no gusenga imana
but the only thing that we have, we pray the real God.
So you were in St. Louis for 2 years, and then what led you to Colombia?
maze kuba seruwi
After I lived in St. Louis,
hari abantu bari bakeneye kuza basenga mu mvugo twumva
there were people that wanted to pray in our own language,
tukaramya nk'uko mwabonye bariko baramya hano
like they were singing the songs in
kandi
their
reka mbabwire
language.
kurya mwari kumubona batamba hano
As
badansi.
you saw this dancing and everything,
kurya bavuye mu moko atandukanye
and we are different
umwe abyina uko
ethnic group. We dance as it
kandi
comes.
ntibaza babyina gusa babahaye basenga
We don't just dance. We are remembering
icyo gihe
and
barambwira ngo ninze
praising.
be pasiteri wabo
and those people wanted me to come and be the
ariko
pastor,
byari bingoye
but it was hard.
icyo gihe nari maze kumenya ko famiye yanje iri muri Kenya
That time I found out that my family was in Kenya,
ndavuga ngo se ndagenda gute Colombia
and I was asking myself, how am I moving to
kandi
Colombia?
ntibafite kumpemba
And they are going. I'm not gonna be paid to do this.
ndagenda kuri bose wanje wa Chevisi
And I went to my boss in Chevis,
ndamuga ngo ampeze transfer inze hano kuri Chevisi
and I wanted to be transferred here in
kuko
Colombia.
yarazi ko ndi umukozi by'ukuri
For real, I'm a good worker, and
kazi
he
kanje
knew.
buri gihe cyose mpagera mbere y'isaha
And I tried to be at my job before everybody,
kandi barabizi bose
and everybody knows.
noneho ngo mare bibi kibazo
So it was a problem.
ngo mubwire namwe ngo Colombia ni hatoya ntuzobona akazi
He said, Colombia is so small, you're not gonna find a job.
numva biragoye
And I was thinking.
ubwo madamu nari maze kumenya ko hari
So
turavugana
I knew that my wife was in Kenya, and I was talking to her, and I was asking myself, do I have really to move in Colombia? But when I talked to my wife, he said, go, you are called for this.
ndaza
That's how I came.
ariko nibwo bagize ibibazo byinshi biteye ubwoba
And that's when she got challenged where she was.
Chevisi ya hano
But Chevis here,
bariya baseruye bakamubwira ngo guma hano turaguheza inzu ya manager uzobamo nawe utazoza uriha uzukora hano ureke kugenda Colombia
and the Chevis in St. Louis was trying to keep me there, and they said, stay here, you will live with the manager, and it's near your job, you're not gonna go far. And I was putting all of these on the balance.
numva umuhamagaro w'Imana
But I felt like I was called not to do
ndaza
that.
nshitse hano
So I came.
naje ku kazi bakamubwira ngo nisubirayo
When I came and worked at Chevis here, but sometimes they would tell me to
habe
go
na
home.
gaze yo gushira mu modoka nageza nibura
Sometimes I didn't even have the gas to my
ariko
car,
nasenga cyane
but I was praying.
ngo buce mu gitondo ngeze ku kazi baramubwira ngo no more Chevisi
When I got to my job, one morning they said, no more Chevis, it's closed.
birantangaza kabisa
I was so confused.
manager wanje anjana muri Olive Garden
So the manager that I had took me to Olive
aravuga
Garden,
ati uyu muntu ni umukozi mu muheza akazi
and they said, he's a hard worker, give him a
nta
job.
interview nakoze
I didn't do the
nta
interview.
akazi ndakora
They gave me the
ariko
job.
hari hagoye
But it was very hard.
bageze barunda amasahani nayabona nkarira
They would they stacked the plates, and I would cry. It was too much.
ariko nkabikora byose
But I would do it.
ngakakora ka kazi
I did that job,
ngo buce mbona akazi muri banki
and then I found another job at the
ari
bank.
kensi ari njyanye
It's Atkins. We had to clean the banks. It was easy,
ariko amafaranga ari nta
but small money.
2 weeks nabonaga 500
In 2 weeks, I had to have 500.
nakubitaho assurance nkabona
With the insurance of the car and everything, my own insurance,
nyivanaho
I took it off.
shiraho iyi modoka gusa
I put just my car.
mba mu buzima bukomeye
It was hard,
ariko ndasenga
but I was praying.
ubuce mbona akazi kuri Buni Hospital
And then I found another job at the Boone Hospital.
numva ibintu bitangiye kugenda neza
So things were becoming
nakora
well.
neza
I worked there,
ariko maze igihe nza nyapurika kuri university ntibampamagare
And I was trying to get a job to university, but they never
Kavuga
called
ati,
me.
"Niki gituma badahaye baheza abakristo akazi
And I was
basenga Imana
asking why
bakabaheza
they
akazi?"
don't give the Christian a job.
Ndasenga ngo mbone
I
ako kazi.
kept praying,
Karabura.
and I couldn't find the
Nakora
job.
interview ni accent yanje ati,
Wherever I do the interview with my accent, and they will be like, oh, this person. And then I continue to apply.
Ibitaro by'abana n'abagore.
Now, the women and
Ubu
children,
niho nkora.
that's where I work.
Mu gitondo mba ndi hano ku ikanisa,
In the morning, I'm here.
ariko mu mugoroba mba ndi hari.
Evening time, I go to work.
Kaja gukora.
Yeah. So works at Women's and Children's Hospital
Yes.
here in Colombia. And a little earlier on, you said that when you took your flight from Africa over to the United States, they loan you the money for the ticket, but then you have to pay the ticket back. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you had to do the same thing when Francine and your
Yes.
family came.
Yes.
So that's a pretty big expense to be
Yeah.
added on as part of what it costs for you to
Yes.
live. So you learned that your family was alive in 2009 when you were in St. Louis,
Yes.
and that had to be shocking.
Byari biteye ubwoba.
That was scary.
Umuntu uzi ko yapfuye kutagihari.
Somebody you think he's dead.
Baragenda iyo uvuye uri impunzi ugenda kuri hasere.
Whenever you are a refugee, you go to UN.
Agendayo.
She went there by
Wahagera
herself.
hasanga abandi twari tuziranye.
And when she got there were people that knew me.
Abapasiteri bari batuzi.
The pastors that knew me already.
Baramubwira ati, "Ese uyu ni Madamu Nene?"
And they say, are you Mrs. Nene?
Ati, "Pastor Nene yaragiye muri Amerika."
Pastor Nene is in America already.
Urumva bene ibyo bintu.
Can you imagine?
Barampamagara.
They called me.
Ariko sinabyumvishe.
I couldn't even understand.
Ndabahamagara.
I called them back.
Bambwira ko bahari.
They said, your family is here.
Imana irakomeye.
God is God. Amen.
Mu kubaho kwanje
In my life,
kuko nabyaye ngize imyaka 5.
after I had the baby after 5 years, as I said. I couldn't understand how I can spend one night apart from my child. I loved my daughter, Aline. She's here.
Iwacu muri Kongo ntabazavuga base mu izina.
Home, nobody can say the name of your father in your name. Nobody can say the name of the father.
Aja ku ishuri.
She went to school.
Uwo munsi biga herufi ne.
So they had to learn about the letter N.
Izina ryanje ni rito cyane.
So his name is small.
Bagenda bavuga ngo Nene.
So they were Nene, learning about the letter N.
Yamatangira kurira mu ishuri kugeza atashe.
She started crying from the classroom to
Ngo
home.
bavuze papa wiwe mu
They
izina.
said the name of my daddy.
Nyina w'umwamuriye hariya.
My daughter over here. There.
Bavuze papa mu izina.
They said the name of my dad.
Sinari nzi ko nogenda ahantu utari kumwe nawe.
So I couldn't even imagine being
Ariko
apart
tekereza
from
kuvuga
my
ngo
daughter.
baraguhamagaye ngo famiye yawe irahari.
So now they are calling me and saying my
N'abana
family
bawe
is there
bose.
and all your children are
N'undi
there.
batoye.
And another child that they found.
Ubitekereza.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's over my
Kandi
thinking.
byose sinje njenyine.
So it's not me
Aba bose
only.
mubona barefugee.
So all these refugees that are here,
Ubuhamya buteye ubwoba.
they have a lot of testimonies that can just move you.
Yeah. So I'd like for Aline and Francine is back there.
Francine
do you
is
have-
over there.
Could you stand, please? Could you just stand so we can see who
Maguru
you are?
Baba,
That's Nene's wife back there. That's his oldest daughter here. And let's put the picture up. Let's put the picture up of his family so we can see all of them. There they are. Obviously, that picture was taken here at Fellowship because I recognize the photo or whatever that is in the back. So walk through, starting with Francine and working across.
Okay.
Uyu ni Claude.
Janda hano kwa Francine uze gusa.
Tutangire uyu ni Francine.
His wife,
Uyu ni Mugeni Charlotte.
Mugeni, daughter, the youngest.
Uyu ni jewe. Uyu ni Israeli.
Israel. Oh, yeah, in Israel.
Uyu ni Aline. Uyu ni Claude.
Claude.
That's the young boy that Francine
That's the one
adopted.
that Francine
Yeah,
found.
found
yeah,
in.
the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Nobody.
Uyu ni Kwezi.
Kwezi
Uyu ni Fred.
and Freddie.
Arangije high school. Niwe nasize afite amezi 7.
That one was 7 months when I left.
arangije high,
Now he finished his high school too.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
It is.
Yes. Oh, we're running out of time. Okay, we'll wrap this up here. So when did you become a citizen, a U.S. citizen? About 3 years?
6 years ago.
Oh, 6 years ago, okay. And I'm going to say something just because I realize time has gotten away from us. But we have our third service afternoons on Sundays at around 4 o'clock, 4:30. Anybody's welcome to come. It's what we did up here on the platform this morning for an extended time. It's just wonderful to be in this setting with worship and prayer. You don't even have to understand the language. You just enjoy the Spirit of God in that setting. If you would like to get involved in befriending one of our refugees or refugee families, I'd encourage you just to fill out on our communication card that you'd like to get involved. It could be something as simple as teaching someone how to drive, maybe helping someone get from one place to another. A few years ago, several of us did instruction on how to become a U.S. citizen. I'd encourage anybody to instruct someone in that, because that class that you got in 6th grade, you don't remember any of that. It's all new material to you. So you get an additional education as you're trying to teach a refugee. This is what it means to be a U.S. citizen. And it'll be a challenge for you, but it's a good challenge. And you're helping those who they have to know all this stuff. They take a test and all of that. So I think, did you say your son is getting ready to take his citizenship? Claude?
We have one Claude. Next week, he's going to do his exam. He's the only one that doesn't have the citizenship yet.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. So Nene came here from St. Louis. He was invited by a group of people that were gathering for worship. They had been a part of First Baptist Church here in Columbia, which is on Broadway, downtown. First Baptist is kind of right next to Stevens College. And I visited with, I know the pastor there, Carol McIntyre, and I know Ed Rollins, who's been there for quite a few years. I know both of them. And in an article, Carol said this: "It is such a blessing for the rest of our congregation to have the African worshipers here. How joyful they are, even though they've had such tragedy in their life. To see them live out their faith, to me, is such a testimony of the strength they have and their belief in God. They're such a great example for us." And I would say yes and amen to that. That is true in our midst. They transitioned from First Baptist because of some decisions they made that affected their theology, and they just felt like it was appropriate that they transitioned from that setting. But I want to give due recognition to First Baptist and their willingness to receive Nene and the congregation there and be a family for them and a home for them for several years. I mean, there were tears with their leaving, and I want to respect that church for their reaching out and being willing to do their part in this. I want to close with, as I think about your story and the story of everybody that's come from another country like this, and the thing that sticks in my mind is the parable of the Good Samaritan. And we know that parable. I won't read the whole thing here, but a lawyer comes to Jesus and says, "What shall I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus says, "What's written in the law?" And he says, it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And then the lawyer wants to justify himself. He says, "So who is my neighbor?" And Jesus answered, "A certain man went out to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing and wounded him and departed, leaving him dead, half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. And he set him on his own animal, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you." So which of these three do you think was neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? Jesus asked. And the lawyer said, he who showed mercy on him. And Jesus said, go and do likewise. I think that's a great parable for us in the context of our refugees and those among us who are outsiders who have come in to Columbia, into our church, to reach out, to understand we have a part to play in this story of the Good Samaritan. Thank you so much for everything that you shared with us this morning, and I encourage all of us here whose home is Columbia, has been home in America, to befriend those who've come from another country, refugee or scholars who come to the university, who come and worship in our midst. Push past the language barriers. Don't be afraid to engage someone in conversation. That's the way you make friends, and it's a great friendship to have. So let's stand, and thank you both very much. And we're gonna close with worship here.
That concludes this week's message. We invite you to check us out at christianfellowship.com.